What is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Kensei Sensei, and in today's lesson, I'm going to be teaching you about a really, and I mean really important grammar point in Japanese. And that is because we're going to go over the te form. The te form is used so many times in the Japanese language. There are so many applications, so you really need to know how to use them. So sit back, relax, and let's get right in. The te form in Japanese has so many different applications. If we were to talk about all the applications in this lesson, I'd be sitting here forever. So what we're going to do today is only go over 4 different applications of the te form, and then I'm going to teach you how to conjugate a verb or an adjective into its te form. So the 4 applications of the te form include 1. Making simple commands using the te form. 2. Using the te form as a conjunctive. 3. Combining 2 verbs to make a new meaning. And 4. Listing verbs and adjectives. Now before we go over the complicated applications of the te form, I'm going to go over an example with you. So take a look at this example. Hashiru turns into hashitte in its te form. Taberu turns into tabete in its te form. Now as you can see, the te form and the dictionary form of a verb is different. And in order to change the dictionary form of a verb to its te form, we have to go through conjugation. Actually, the conjugation steps for the te form is very easy. First, what you have to do with the verb is that you have to change it to its past tense form. Now, I already taught you how to conjugate a verb to its past tense form in a previous lesson, so I'm just going to assume that you know it already. Once you convert the dictionary form of the verb into its past tense form, you have to remove the last ta and then replace it with te. So for example, hashiru turns into hashitta in its past tense form. We remove the last ta and replace it with te. So hashiru, hashitta, hashitte. Same with taberu. The past tense form of taberu is tabeta, and then we are replacing the last ta with te. Now that you know how to conjugate a verb into its te form, what we're going to do is get right into the applications. Now, like I said, the first application of the te form that you're going to learn is using it as a simple command. What I mean by simple command is that you can use the te form with a verb and tell someone to do something. So for example, tabete, that alone would mean, can you eat it? Or I want you to eat it, or just eat it. Now, as you can see, it could come out rude, but it isn't entirely terrible. It's not a strong command. So you could be using this with your friend. You could tell your friend, tabete, and that means I want you to eat it, or just eat it, I guess.
Just do it!
And if we go back to the other example, hashitte, hashitte, this would mean you're telling someone to run. So the next application of the te form is going to be when you're using it as a conjunctive. What I mean by conjunctive is that it allows you to connect 2 different sentences together, like we use and in the English language. So let's take a look at this example. 朝食を食べて学校に行く。朝食を食べて学校に行く。As you can see in this example, first we have 朝食を食べて。朝食を食べる is to eat breakfast. So by using the te form and converting taberu to tabete in this sentence, it allows you to connect this sentence with another sentence. 朝食を食べて to eat breakfast, 学校に行く which is to go to school. So as a result, this entire sentence would mean I eat breakfast and then go to school. So the te form as a conjunctive allows you to describe a sequence of events. First you do this, and then you do that. 朝食を食べて学校に行く. I eat breakfast and then I go to school. Now the third application with the te form is when you're combining 2 verbs to create a whole new meaning. So let's take a look at these examples. 食べてもらう、食べてくれる、食べてあげる. As you can see, these 3 verbs all have a different meaning. Now in this lesson, you don't need to know the differences between these 3, but what you need to understand is that we can use the te form with 1 verb. You can convert a verb into its te form and then add another verb to it to create a whole new meaning of that verb. It's related to it, but it's a bit different. Now the final application that you're going to learn is when we're listing verbs and adjectives. So what you can do with the te form is put them together in the same sentence. 食べて、笑って、寝る. And in this sentence, it says to eat, to laugh, and to sleep. And as you can see, the first two verbs are in its te form, and by doing so, we can list the verbs. And it is related to the conjunctive form because this is a sequence. First you are eating, then you are laughing, and then you are sleeping. You can do something similar with adjectives because you can use the te form to list adjectives as well. Now before we talk about that, let's talk about how to conjugate adjectives into its te form. Remember, there are two different types of adjectives, e-adjectives and na-adjectives. What we have to do with e-adjectives is remove the last e and add kute, kute. So for example, kawaii, that's an e-adjective. So what we have to do with kawaii is drop the last e, kawaii, and then add kute, kawaii kute. Now let's look at the na-adjectives. An example of a na-adjective is kirei, kirei. These are very simple because all you have to do with conjugating na-adjectives to the te form is add de, kirei de, kirei de. So now that you know how to conjugate adjectives into its te form, what you can do in order to list them is simply put them together in a sentence. 彼女は綺麗で面白くて可愛い. So similar to the verbs, what we're doing here is we are using the te form for the first two adjectives and then connecting all the adjectives together in a sentence. As you can see, there are so many different applications in the te form. In this lesson, I only briefly described the different applications, and I mostly just taught you how to conjugate verbs and adjectives into its te form. But don't worry, I'm definitely going to be talking about the te form in my future lessons just because the te form comes up so many times in the Japanese language. You can't avoid it. Make sure to check out my Discord and my Amino, but until next time, またね。